story begins as the paranormal investigation team, led by the seasoned investigator Eric, arrives in the quiet and remote Portuguese town of Évora. The air is thick with the scent of history, and the townsfolk seem hesitant to speak of the Capela dos Ossos, a chapel notorious for its bone-lined walls. Despite their reluctance, the team's curiosity is piqued, fueling their desire to unveil the secrets hidden within its ossified confines. Eric's team consists of Sophia, a skilled historian, Marco, the tech expert, and Lena, an empath with an acute sensitivity to the supernatural. As the team settles in the town, Sophia dives into the records at the local library, uncovering stories of the chapel's creation. Tales narrate the collection of local monks' bones, used to line the walls in a somber meditation on mortality. However, rumors persist that the bones still whisper secrets of those interred, claiming the lives they once belonged to were fraught with dark deeds. While Sophia reads through dusty tomes, Marco sets up their base camp with high-tech equipment, ready to capture the slightest evidence of supernatural activity. Lena, however, feels an overwhelming sense of dread as she walks through the cobbled streets, her mind echoing with fragments of cries, telling her to be wary. That night, the team convenes to lay out their plan of investigation. Eric assures them of their mission's success, even as unease lingers like a shadow over their preparations. Unknown to them, their resolve will soon be tested by forces beyond their understanding, emerging from the whispers of the wall. As the investigation progresses, tension within the team begins to rise, fueled by anxiety and suspicion. Eric remains vigilant, pushing the team to work through the night, determined to document indisputable evidence of the paranormal. Yet fatigue and fear gnaw at them, making them prone to mistakes. Sophia starts seeing figures skirting the corner of her vision, shadowy phantoms that vanish before she can truly discern them. The chapel's haunting presence grows stronger, tugging at Lena's consciousness. In a trance-like state, she transcribes unknown symbols she swears appeared on the bones, sketches of forbidden glyphs. She becomes obsessed, driven by a force she can't comprehend, but is powerless to resist. Meanwhile, Marco becomes progressively unsettled when the temperature sensors go haywire, erratic spikes, indicating a presence he can't rationalize. Eric struggles to maintain the team's focus as internal conflicts bubble to the surface. Hushed arguments arise over the chapel's significance, with Marco questioning the ethics of their research, fearing they may have awakened something better left undisturbed. As the night deepens, the whispering walls seem to close in, enfolding them in an invisible grasp, hinting at the malevolence hidden within their ossified secrets. Outside, a storm begins to gather, dark clouds rolling in to match the turmoil brewing inside the chapel. The wind howls through the narrow streets like a chorus of lost souls. Within, the investigators find themselves trapped both physically and mentally as the doors rattle under the gusts. Eric, ever the pragmatist, dismisses it as another atmospheric phenomenon. Yet deep down, he cannot shake the unease seeping into his bones. Sophia, now visibly shaken, confides in Lena about the shadows she's witnessed, figures that whisper her name and beckon her to follow. The empathy shared between them morphs into a tether of terror and intrigue. Lena, battling her own internal forces, tries to reassure Sophia while questioning her own sanity. They are interrupted by Marco, whose equipment is now fully malfunctioning, sparking and sputtering amidst the charged air. Suddenly, the whispers crescendo to a horrifying pitch, echoing against the bone walls, each syllable etched with malice. A new visitor joins the chorus, a bone-chilling voice that demands audience, a call that resonates with a power beyond their comprehension. Eric attempts to regain control, but the swirling cacophony renders his efforts futile. They are no longer investigators in command. They are intruders trespassing on consecrated grounds, a realization as stark and cold as the bones surrounding them. Struggling to remain rational, the group decides to make one last push deeper into the chapel, aiming to reach its heart, where the strongest energy seems to pulsate. They huddle closer for security, each step echoing within the bone chamber until they reach an altar. The altar is a macabre centerpiece, decorated with more bones, ornately telling of ancient rituals and dark secrets interred within. As they approach, a sense of dread envelops them so intensely that it's almost tangible. Lena swears she feels her skin prickling under the gaze of the skulls, their hollow eye sockets seemingly tracking her every movement. Emma, saying prayers under her breath to ward off the creeping fear, suddenly stumbles upon a hidden compartment beneath the altar containing inscriptions carved in blood-red ink. The inscriptions stir something deep within Marco's mind, an uncanny familiarity that marries fear with recognition. He urges Sophia to document the findings, even as she hesitates, overwhelmed by the sensation they are trespassing into a narrative they are not meant to witness. Nearby, the whispers gather strength, weaving an ethereal web that threatens to ensnare their reason and blur the lines between their world and the chapel's grim tapestry. As the clock approaches midnight, the tension in the chapel becomes nearly unbearable. The group senses that the whispers persistently intensify in response to their presence. Lena, whose connection to the unseen forces tightens with every passing moment, nearly collapses from the overwhelming barrage of voices. Eric, caught between duty and growing fear, insists on continuing, desperate to shed light on this phenomenon. But just as he's about to direct a final attempt to breach the heart of the whispers, the energy in the chapel shifts, existing between fear and intuition. Lena reveals that she understands the whispers now. They are not a part of this world. The inscriptions have etched their power into her mind, and with her newfound clarity, she warns the team an ancient forbidden ritual must have been enacted, trapping spirits and their echoes within the walls. The team must make a decision. Either they find a way to put the spirits to rest or flee in recognition that some mysteries are too monstrous to be tamed. Sophia, linking past research to Lena's revelations, spots a pattern within the chapel's architecture, a secret path hidden in plain sight. Together, they might have a chance to unlock the purpose behind the energies consuming them. Determined to uncover more of the chapel's mystery, the group follows Sophia's lead along the path she deciphered from the chapel's motifs. With every careful step, the architecture around them reveals hidden alcoves and bone-encrusted symbols. The air becomes thicker with the weight of ancient secrets, and each investigator is keenly aware of the thin veil separating them from what is real and what is imagined. They venture into a subterranean chamber, untouched by time yet saturated with a perpetual sense of dread. Marco uses his equipment to scan the room, finding trifling anomalies that suggest a confluence point for the spirits. The whispers now fluctuate, rushing through the air like a torrent of remembered pain seeking recognition. Despite their training, the feeling of being watched becomes almost tangible, as if their every movement is catalogued by unseen eyes. In the heart of the chamber lies an antiquated manuscript housed within a glass case. Bathed in an otherworldly glow, Lena approaches with reverence, her fingertips trembling. The manuscript pulsates with an uncanny rhythm, somehow in sync with the whispers that permeate the cavern. Eric knows that this ancient script holds the key to unraveling the chapel's enigmas, yet reading it risks unleashing whatever malevolent force lies dormant, waiting and aware. Faced with the cryptic manuscript, the team grapples with the responsibility of interpreting its contents, while anticipating the consequences of disturbing its slumber. Lena's intuitive faculties serve as their guide, piecing together fragments of the text in a language partially familiar, yet deeply foreign. Her mutterings echo off the ancient walls, forming a catalyst that evokes a sharp crescendo of whispers cascading around them as more passages are deciphered. A picture of past sacrificial rites and bound spirits takes shape. The chapel once stood as a ceremonial cauldron overseen by those seeking immortality through sanguine offerings and veneration of forgotten deities. These dark practices left indelible scars on the chapel, binding restless souls and memories into the very fabric of the walls. With growing clarity, Lena warns that liberation of these entities may require them to complete the ritual the monks once initiated. Eric hesitates, torn between the risk and his duty to the living and the dead alike. The weight of the manuscript's power binds not just knowledge to the minds of the living, but tightens the chapel's grip around them. Yet, knowing what horrors might be unleashed into the world leaves them only one other choice: to stay trapped with the chapel's secrets forever. The team braces themselves for uncertain consequences as they consider reenacting the final elements of the ritual. They gather items as described within the manuscript, offering bones placed before the altar, and invoking the names long forsaken in silence. Marco, usually skeptical, finds his rationale crumbling under the overwhelming supernatural evidence. The ritual begins, and the chapel transforms. Wavering shadows dance across the skeletal walls, taking ghostly forms. The air grows colder, sharp chills cutting through them, leaving a trail of goosebumps in their wake. Lena recites an incantation, her voice gyrating against the oppressive atmosphere, rising above the surge of spiritual unrest. A thunderous cacophony erupts, surrounding them as the chapel moans like a living thing. Doors rattle, and the walls shudder as unseen forces converge on the epicenter of their ritualistic endeavor. At its zenith, the bone-lined walls seem to seethe with life, creatures of all shapes and features reaching through in spectral protest, their cries merging with those who lived and died under the altar's shadow. In the ritual's aftermath, as the clamor subsides, the chapel grows eerily still. It's as if a great weight has been lifted, yet the sense of unease lingers. Tentative relief mixes with dread as the investigators survey the chapel, the whispers now fading to almost nothing, a testament to their intervention. Lena trembles, succumbing to fatigue and emotional exhaustion. Her mind is clear for the first time since stepping foot inside the chapel. Yet, a haunting vision flickers in her memory, revealing layers within the ritual that echo warnings not fully deciphered. Did they indeed liberate the souls, or merely provoke some dormant malevolence? The team gathers in tight unity, recognizing their bond has been forged deeper than anticipated. Despite emerging from the chapel's grasp, they carry its secrets, whispered eternally, into their consciousness. As they step out into the storm's aftermath, dawn's light barely pushing through, what they leave behind within Capela dos Ossos holds promise of reprieve or revenge, a mystery still entangled in the past's jealously guarded silence.